Hello, lovely. This is Into the Hen House, a podcast for moms with littles. We are joining our voices to a revolution of remembrance. And as mothers, we are rising together and choosing to live, birth, and mother from a place of internally sourced power and deep connection. Join us on this journey as we dive into topics of mindful and intuitive living and mothering, healthy and sovereign living, as well as the often taboo topic of birth trauma, both healing and preventing it. We are your hosts, Andrea,
Caitlin,
and Chantal.
And if you're ready, it's time to jump into the hen house. Hello, welcome back, everyone. We're so excited to have you here for another episode. And today we are talking about going with the flow and being adaptable and shifting as life requires it.
Is that truth? It's very different once kids are involved.
It is. It is. You know, and for me, it's interesting because I feel like I have always been a very flexible person. Like I'm pretty good at going with the flow. And then there's certain things that I also get a little bit uptight about, like certain punctuality issues and stuff like that. Like I don't like to be late for an appointment that I've paid for. That's really a big one. And sometimes it's so hard to do that when things shift and need to all of a sudden be taken care of.
I feel like pre-baby, I was the person who was like, early is on time is late.
I was never quite that good, but I worked really hard to at least be on time.
Well, then I had a baby and like I feel like I am the butt of all of my family's jokes that like if I am early, if I'm on time, they're like, "Oh my God, you're here? Like you're always late." And I actually like it was actually hurtful when they first started saying it because I felt like, yeah, I'm late. I have a baby. Life is different. I don't know how to navigate time anymore.
Yeah.
She didn't want to get in the car seat. She wanted to do her buckle up herself. She needed a diaper change before we left the house. Then she needed milk again. Like all these things that I thought I accounted for.
Yeah, we had to stop on the way because someone threw up.
Yeah. So like, I'm here. What more do you want?
I know. Honestly, we're so bad. Sometimes it's like, okay, we're aiming for here, but unless it's like something like we have to plan for like a whole hour ahead of time.
Yes.
It's like if we have to be somewhere at 11, we have to leave by 10.
Mm-hmm. And it might
at least aim for that, And sometimes like we were going to a friend's house the other day and they ended up living further away than I thought because I didn't have their exact address until like morning of. Yeah. And like I said noon, we got there at like 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you.
And I have a husband who does not love to be on time. It's not his forte.
Oh.
And so that does create some stress between us because I'm like, we have to be leaving. Why aren't we leaving? And he's like, we'll just get there when we get there. And I'm like, no, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, no. Ed is very much the one who's like, I'm not late. And I'm like, well, you are with me. Welcome to our circus.
But it is different, right? Like it is just different.
It is. And it's an adaptation. It's things you never realized you needed to account for. And once you start to realize all the little things that need to be accounted for, you can start planning. Like you said, like, hey, I know if I have to be there by 11, that all the things have to be ready to go out the door at 10 o'clock. And that will get me there on time. And that gives me the buffer for, if I need to do the pullover, if my kid wants to do the buckle of her car seat and she wants to try 74 times before she clips it in. We are currently really in this, like, she'll stick it into the little buckle and then she'll look at me like, am I going to do it? And she'll and like, hey, we got to do up the buckle. Like, we're going. Show me how you do the buckle. And she'll be like,
Yeah. Which is kind of a wonderful thing because it's like everything is a game and everything is fun. And it's
Yes,
like I hate to interrupt because
yes,
it's like
because
there's this like
you're living in the moment.
spectacular play.
Yes, and you're totally living in the moment. And when I participate and make jokes, ooh, are you gonna get it? Ooh, is this gonna be the time? Then now it's hilarious and now it's fun. So why am I gonna take that away from you?
Right, right. Well, and I feel like that's where the planning comes in, where it's like, okay, if I know that there's going to be a diaper and I don't want the diaper to be a struggle, because currently, for whatever reason, that still is our struggle. We do pretty good with sometimes getting clothes on, but mostly it's the diaper. And she's like, nope, not having it. I want to do it this way or not that way, or I just refuse.
Yeah.
And and so, but it's kind of like, okay, so I know that the diaper with unless I want to have screaming, the diaper is not going to happen in like a minute flat.
Yeah, it's not happening.
I'm like, I have to give it like at least 15 minutes
Yeah.
and then give an extra 15 minutes in case we have to do it again right before going.
I remember that. I remember like there were a few times when my dad was like, "Wow, that didn't win any awards for speediest diaper change." He's like that's incredible. And I'm like, "Yeah, like she just fights it. She's zero interested. Zero." And like
Yeah.
I'm not the person who can just hold her down and like have her scream while I put the diaper on. Like it's not gonna.
Yeah. I mean, I have once or twice because for a poopy diaper, it's like, I'm so sorry. I just cannot let you go everywhere
Yeah. Yeah.
in certain moments.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But otherwise, it's kind of like whatever. If she wants to take the time and run around, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a deep breath and
Mhm.
remind myself that, you know what? It's okay. And so I do feel like trying to plan ahead a little bit helps mitigate um, some of the stress of like, oh my gosh, we have to leave immediately. Like, we're so late. Everything is so high pressure. And
Yeah,
it's
and
kind
then
of like,
from that state, then like every person's driving slow and every light is
yeah. Well, and
red.
it just makes everything not fun. And
Exactly.
I'm like, I don't want to make motherhood miserable.
No.
And I don't want to make her miserable either by constantly rushing and
Yeah.
like constantly
Uh,
stressed and constantly whatever. It's like that just
yeah.
doesn't
We
work
have
for me.
a mom friend and her two daughters here in our little town. So we live 5 minutes apart by car,
Hmm.
and we've had mornings where we've planned, the day or earlier in the week, like, hey, on such and such day, we're gonna do like morning tea around 10. And it's happened both ways, them coming here and us going there like at 9:30. Hey, our morning started a little slower than we anticipated, so we're looking like 10:15. And then like 9:45, 9:50, we're still not ready to leave. Like we're still not close out the door. So let's put that 10:15 to 10:30. And like maybe somewhere between 10:30 and 11 we actually get together. And I'm so grateful for it because I think there was a time in my life where I couldn't have handled being that person. And I also couldn't have handled having plans with that person. Like I couldn't have
Yeah.
done either way. Like I would have just felt like, you know what, let's just do another time. Like
Yeah.
gonna work. I got other things to do. I also I wasn't aware of this in depth until Ed and I started dating. And he informed me that I was the kind of person who, if there was a 5-minute gap in between things that I needed to do in the day, that I would stick something in it. You are just the person who, like, the whole thing is planned down to the minute. Like, there's just too much. There's no wiggle room. And it makes it not fun because, like, it's just go, 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 go. So I can see how an older version of me would have been like, no, we can't do 10:30. Like, we're already getting our shoes on to go to the next thing by 10:30.
Mhm.
And this version of me is like, we have something planned both Saturday and Sunday. Ooh, that feels like too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I do feel like both you and I, though I think we're different in that way because I always have very much enjoyed downtime. And especially running my business, I learned it's like I need downtime.
Yeah.
Like I can go for a while and then I need like a pause. So I always took an extra long lunch to
Hmm.
guarantee that I had at least 15 minutes to just kind of like sit and simmer and
Yeah. Well, I
whatever.
learned the hard way by not doing that, that I just
You
completely
know,
burnt myself out. I was not a pleasure to be around for anyone, including myself. And
yeah.
I'm finding in this chapter, like having a child has really taught me the importance of slowing down. And now I'm very much the person who's like, I'm good with one thing on my day. I'm good with one shift. Like as a fellow chiropractor, typically it's very common in chiropractic offices to have a morning shift and an afternoon shift and some kind of a lunch gap in between. And I've become very much like, no, I want a morning or an afternoon because I want to
Hmm.
go enjoy the rest of my day with my child. I want to come home and have a snuggly
Yeah.
together and go play in the yard together. And
Yeah. So you just need space and they need space too. So I think that's the other thing. I think kids get so rushed.
hmm
Like it gets so rushed. Like I don't know, this was some years ago, but I nannied for a family and these kids, like the schedule that these small children kept, to me, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so much for me as an adult.
for a little person.
Like how does like this 2 year old, like they're at the daycare by 7 a.m. Actually, technically 7:05, I think. And they get picked up at 5, and then straight home and like eat some food and then straight to the bath and then straight to bed. Like hurry, hurry, hurry. But I'm like the whole day is just like scheduled and rushed and I was like, my goodness, like it's not even fun for me as an adult.
Yeah. That's
And
I see it with kids and activities. Like I feel like we live in this world now where busy is quite celebrated. Um,
yes.
and I don't genuinely know why a kid needs to be in all the things, right? Like, but there are more than a handful, and I see it everywhere I go, where small kids are going, they've got soccer, they've got gymnastics,
Mhm.
they've got swimming, they've got dance, they go to all their siblings' things. Like, there's just no time for a kid to just be a kid, for a kid to be bored, for a kid to, do make believe play. Like everything is so structured. And
Yeah.
I'm unsure about it.
It's interesting because I tend to think that imaginative play and boredom even can lend itself to imaginative play. I
Yes.
read somewhere recently like boredom is what happens right before inspiration strikes. Like
Yeah.
right before creation happens, it's that boredom.
Mm-hmm.
Um but I think again it's like to do child-led play, like to have children just get to be children. There's something very powerful about that. So like from the Waldorf perspective, and I don't know a ton about it, but I have someone in my life who is rather obsessed. So I've learned a lot about
Love
it.
it.
and, and so from that perspective, they say imaginative play is like the key to everything.
I keep, it's social media. That's where I see most of it. But through reels and posts. And then I go down my little rabbit holes of reading about things. But it really does seem that many of the researchers and the experts in the field are saying like kids need to be bored. They need to have that downtime in order to be creative. And how many other ways that fosters brain development and
Yeah.
um, social cognitive development and so on and so on. It's
Yeah.
it's interesting. So
And even just resting time and like family time, that's just really low key. I feel like there's something very special
mhm.
about that when no one is rushing and you all just get to hang out and like there's nothing much going on. It's not organized. It's not, I'm going like, I don't know, like I just feel like that at the end of the day is probably more supportive than 10 organized sports
Yeah.
in a
Well,
week or whatever.
Makes me wonder.
especially when they're tiny. Like,
Yeah.
what does a 3-year-old like?
I do fully
No.
understand like wanting your kid to be in something, even if it's just to go burn some energy. I get that.
Yeah, something. Plus,
But
it's a little social activity and stuff.
yeah,
Gets you out of the house and
but maybe not everything.
right.
And it also makes me wonder, like, so then I look at who I was before being a mom and how much I was involved in or how much I was doing. And I sometimes question, was that because I truly enjoyed doing all of that? Or did I feel obligated to be busy? Did I feel obligated to say yes to everything? Did I feel like doing all the things was um, determining my value or my worth? And so on and
Yeah.
so on, right? Which is
Yeah.
a whole other topic. But I look at that and then I wonder, when we are making kids busy right from the get-go, are we inadvertently teaching them that that's a measure of their worth, or that that's a measure of their success? Is, the more things they can do and the more things they can win and the more things they can be good at is what's determining how good they are. Like,
Right. Well, and I think it depends how much it's celebrated too. Like often, there's a lot in the world that it's like we celebrate accomplishment and it's all about task oriented and again, I think you and I both have been ambitious people and still are in our
yes,
own ways. and um and like there's just like you don't do what we've done and the schooling we've done and the businesses we've started and all of that unless you have a lot of drive. You
yes,
have to have a lot of drive and you have to have a lot of commitment and um a willingness to do that, right? So you don't like so the ways that we have felt called, it's like it's required a certain amount of drive.
mm-hmm,
And what is my point? But I think that it's also learning to have that. So like what is like internally sourced from that? And then where does it become externally sourced? Where
yes,
it's like, I don't want to do this at all. In fact, I think it's purely an obligation. I have no interest in it, but I feel like I have to.
yes. As you were talking, that's exactly what was landing for me. Was, I think it's the intention and where the drive comes from. Because like, in no by no means do I want to poo poo people who are go getters, who love to be doing all the things. If that's what genuinely sets your soul on fire, by all means, power to you. But
Yeah.
if it stems from a place of others love me or others like me or others depend on me for, and depend strictly in the sense that they won't like me if I don't, uh,
Yeah.
then maybe we need to check the busyness, and maybe we need to, be open to slowing down and be open to laying in the lawn with the flowers and pulling out the chalk and celebrating the questionable chalk drawings all of, and celebrating splashing in the water table and celebrating the little things.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that so much of childhood is the little moments. It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's the little moments that at the end are the big moments. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I think of my childhood, I don't necessarily remember the massive trips or whatever. It's like so much of like this small stuff where there was like a connection and something was really fun. And in fact, some of my daughter was looking at some pictures that I have sitting on the floor up here because my office is a mess. But but it was pictures my parents had brought when they came to visit, and they brought me the rest of my stuff that they had been storing for me, and they're like, here you go. And I'm like, well, that's fair. And it's all gotten thrown on the floor, not cleaned up. But she loves to like dig through them and look at that. And so it happens to be these pictures, and she was looking at them just before we got on the call. But it's this day, and I remember it so clearly. And it was me and my sisters. It was a Sunday, and there was nothing to do. We didn't have company. There was no rush. There was no big outing. And it was just the three of us girls in the backyard hanging out in the pool, hanging out in the sun. We weren't rushed to go eat dinner. It was like, so I remember we just sat out there basically until it got dark and we were just chatting, and my parents were just like lounging in the yard and walking around and kind of in and out. And because we were a little bit older, we weren't like
Yeah.
one or two, so it was safe to leave us, unattended. But but it's like, but I remember it so clearly, and I looked at those pictures and I was like, yeah, that was a great day. Like, I loved that day.
It's funny. You said you think that a big part of childhood is the little moments, and I also think that a big part of motherhood is the little moments.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, as a mom, there are a lot of obligations, right? Like all of the little day-to-day things to keep your little human or humans alive.
Yeah.
The list does grow.
It's long. Yeah.
And this last week, I was making my morning tea, and my daughter has been mine, 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 my tea, my tea. So I thought, you know what, instead of just giving her a sip of mine, like, whatever, I'm going to make her like a little cup of tea. I'm going to put it in an actual mug. And I had already said to myself, like, if she drops this mug and it smashes, like, she drops the mug and it smashes. Like, I'm making peace with all the possibilities here. So I made us both a tea, and I asked her, like, do you want to have tea outside in our chairs? And she said, yeah. So we went outside and we sat in our chairs and we each had our tea. She finished her tea in record time, looking at the water, looking at the grass. She took my tea, tried to down that too. It was just so sweet. I think I'll remember that for the rest of my life. Like, I just sat, with my not even 2-year-old on the back deck having our morning tea.
Yeah.
And now it's become, I mean, I don't know if I can call it a ritual at, 5 days in, but every morning since, she wants to wake up, a tea? Yeah, okay, great.
Oh, I love that.
Tea.
I love that.
So, and then it inspired me. I shared it on my Instagram, but I was at Home Sense, which is like the Canadian version of Home Goods, like Marshall's, TJ Maxx, la la la. I found these little tea mugs, and it's like a little tea set where it has the saucer and the mug and the spoon. And the saucer is a green leaf, and the mug is actually a flower. Like, it doesn't have like painting of a flower, like flowers on it. Like, it is painted to be an individual flower sitting on its little leaf. And then the spoon has a little bee on the end of it. So, like,
oh, that's really cute.
Flower. So I had to get a couple of them because I thought, like, we're going to up this morning tea ritual. We're going to have a fancy tea set that we have our tea out of. And yeah, I just feel like, will she pre 2 years old remember specifically when we started having morning tea together? Like, maybe not, probably not. But if we continue it, like, what a beautiful memory. And
I think it's there's still the imprinting of, like, are we imprinted to be in constant rush and constant like hurry and constant panic and constant like stress? Or are we like wired to also just have like the pleasure and the stillness and all of that? Because there's like there's what the body remembers, and then there's what the mind remembers, and they're two very different things.
Yeah. For those who, have been around for a minute, you might notice like an editing stitch here. But so we're talking about adaptability. We're talking about going with the flow. We're talking about how children change that in our lives. And we also kind of just went off on busyness culture, which I know we've talked about before, and I won't go back to it. We'll just, have that as a little mention. We did talk about it a bit. But in going with the flow, kids really open that up for us, in that everything changes, right? It's movement, it's harmony, it's embracing all of the little moments and finding all the joy in the little moments that you wouldn't maybe notice if you were so focused on being task oriented and getting out the door on time.
We're embracing lateness.
Lateness is in.
I had an appointment and I got there and I was like, well, I'm late again. And she's like, you know, Picasso had his like blue period. She's like, this is your late period.
There you go.
And I was like, yeah, that's about right. But thank you for comparing me to Picasso. No.
Yes, I am an artist.
I will take that. My artistry is lateness. No.
I really like that. There was something when we had kind of been like bouncing ideas back and forth about this conversation. You had talked about cooperation versus control or obedience. And I'm curious, I think you had some juicy stuff there.
Yeah. So I have a bone to pick with obedience. And I feel like so many people are very obsessed with children obeying.
Oh,
I mean, even like our pediatrician was like, I will pray that your child will obey you. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
weird.
Yeah, I'm like, thank you for your prayers and whatever. I'm not gonna argue. But but it's like I feel like the thing with obedience. So for one, I think that it loses sight of the fact that children are autonomous beings.
Mm-hmm.
And they have their own ideas and their own viewpoints and their own way of doing things and their own personality and their own needs. And yes, sometimes those conflict with ours as the parent a little bit. But I think that all of that needs to be taken into consideration. And like children are not simply here for us to control and mold exactly the way we want. Like we're not creating mini me's or um like
Factory
exactly
workers. Yeah, like
exactly
workers.
like it's not like they're also like yes we're contributing and yes we're teaching and yes we're asking for certain things and
Yes,
sometimes we're
yes, there are.
saying no.
Yes, and yes, there are rules for your safety.
Yes, and for like for your good and there's a reason for them. And what I need matters too, because sometimes it's just I don't know what we were doing. We were walking at the river and she really wanted to play in a certain area and was having a really fun time. And I was like, okay, it may be irrational, but there is a massive river right there and there's no guardrails. And I know that we're not super close, but I am like having anxiety about this.
Yeah.
So this does not work for me. Even if it works for everybody else, it doesn't work for me. So we can't do that. And so sometimes there is that. And there's other things that I want to do. And she's like, this isn't working for her. And then I have to say, okay, I'm going to honor you because it may work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, um, like even like while she's nursing, she does not like it if I talk.
Okay.
And it's hard for me to like zip it. It's hard for me sometimes. And it's like, okay, I need to,
Yeah.
not talk while she's doing that because she doesn't like it. It doesn't work for her. And so I think finding the balance of everyone's autonomy and also just realizing like your child is their own person. So like you're not responsible for every behavior that they have, every action that they have. And but in the flip side, like they're not just there for you to control.
Mm-hmm.
And like I feel like yes, boundaries are so important, but I feel like boundaries can be gently enforced.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that childhood development and brain development has to be considered. It's like it drives me absolutely up the wall and down around again when people are like to like a not even 2-year old and like please don't do that, and if the kid doesn't listen like pronto, then the kid is in trouble and they get punished or something like that. And it's like they don't have yes, they can walk, and yes, they're starting to talk, but that doesn't mean that they're grown-ups yet. Like,
No, their
they
brain
don't,
is not that of an adult. And even
it's,
especially what you
yeah,
said about if they don't listen pronto. Like I've noticed that with many parents and their children, like their little brains haven't even processed what you said yet. Never mind, have they had the opportunity to process it and take an action, and you're already coming down on them.
yeah. And
Their
then it's
brains
like,
don't
you
work the
know,
way you do yet.
yeah. And, it's like there's impulse control too. Like, so I'm going, you
And
know,
they're exploring boundaries. They're a big part of their
right,
development is how far can I push it? Is this person who is, my parent, my guardian, fill in the blank, like, are they going to uphold that boundary? Are they going to keep me safe, or
right,
will they just cave?
right.
That's a huge part of learning boundaries too, is safely and gently holding the boundary without
Yeah,
without
yeah,
shame or blame or all these other,
yes,
you're
yes,
not on my clock, let's go, which does come back to adaptability. Like
yeah,
if you don't have room in your day for your child to do that for the 700th time, even though you've asked them not to, like you might need to just take a breath,
yeah,
change something in your.
yeah, yeah. And so I feel like in creating the adaptability and going with the flow is honoring also what your child wants to do and the way in which they want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's not safe or not appropriate or just not working, to also have the, I guess, perseverance to continue to say, like, no, that doesn't work. And then to move them or to
Yes,
divert
and
or,
in a calm, safe, loving manner, not
yeah,
to lose it on them or yell at them or punish them or threaten them, and on and on and on.
yeah, yeah. And so I think that it's easy to get caught up in this idea of control, of like, this is how you have to do it because I said so, and this is how I want it, and therefore that's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think in exactly in going with the flow, it's finding it's finding the, I guess if we're talking like a river, because I now live in a river town.
Okay.
Um
We live on a river too. I get it. I'm here for
yeah.
analogies.
Right. So it's like, you've got the flow and it's kind of like, okay, what are the little rocks in the river that things kind of just divert around? Where are the banks of the river where it's like, no, this is an absolute,
Yeah.
you
Water doesn't
know,
go past
the
here.
water doesn't go past here, like, and how to navigate that. And then, I don't know, are we the boat? Are we not the boat? I'm not sure. Who's driving the boat? I don't really know any of that. My analogy's falling apart, but
Okay. It's okay. You
but
know,
like,
thing with what we're talking about. I'll steer us, keeping
yeah.
the river analogy alive. I
That was
think
a
it's
very Caitlin
interesting
moment. I have to
that
acknowledge that.
I think that in the go with the flow, there's a nervous system calmness with that, right? And I feel like I've been replaying through my head some of the things we've been saying, and nothing we're saying is to judge anyone who, if what you're doing is truly working for you, then like by all means carry on. Um, but I've noticed, like, okay, I'm gonna tell a story. The other day, I was gonna we had sausage in our fridge, and I was gonna take out the maple syrup. Yes, we like to dip our sausage in maple syrup. It's delicious. So I went to the fridge to get the syrup out so that we could have this sausage and syrup. And that stinking syrup jumped out and attacked me. It jumped straight onto the floor. The container hit the floor. The cap hit just in the right way so that it cracked in half, and like glug 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 glug. The
Yeah.
syrup is emptying on the floor, and I
Yeah.
very loudly said 2 4-letter words, and I looked up, and Lennon was just standing there, kind of by the pantry, looking at me, and the look on her face was like, oh no, something's wrong. And it was so amazing to me that in that moment, I looked at her and I went, Mommy made a mess. Started laughing, and I said, you know what? Accidents happen. Mommy has accidents too. Now I got to clean it up. Can you stay there for me? And just in that, Mommy made a mess, and switching to making light, adapting out of like, this is not about me. I don't want my child to be scared of me. I don't want to go off the handles over syrup on the floor, which is really annoying, but it is what it is. And I, grabbed some paper towel, and I started like lapping up what I could. Obviously, I picked up the syrup also, so it wasn't just continually pouring. And then I quickly filled the sink with soapy water, got a cloth, and I started wiping because it's syrup, it's sticky, it's not like sopping up some water. And my sweet daughter was just like, mine, and she took my cloth. So I got a second cloth, and she helped me clean the floor.
That's so sweet.
She just wanted to be part of it, right? And so recognizing that if I was still living in a world where everything had to go to plan and there wasn't really room for error or for hiccups, that syrup jumping out of the fridge at me would have ruined my whole day. Like, easily would have derailed my entire train. Like, I probably would have had a total meltdown about it, and I would have allowed that to ruin my day. And instead, I was able to take it in and make that into a moment where we learned accidents happen. We learned that we clean up our messes when accidents happen. We learned that it's okay when accidents happen, that we can still enjoy whatever we were attempting to do once we've cleaned up our mess. We learned that, hey, we can help someone clean up their mess. Like,
right. And it's not the end of the world. And it just got shifted into something playful and fun, and
we still belong.
Like the intensity got shifted.
Yeah. But
and that's a really beautiful example.
It is, and I'm proud of myself, and also it's just really neat to me to see like how, if I was less open to adaptability, if I had done less work on regulating my nervous system, on embracing a more calm way of living, that would have been a very, very different situation. So I think,
and we may still have those too, right? So
happen.
So that's kind of the other thing too that this brings up, is like sometimes we're like, yes, this was a mom win. Like, I pulled it together. I managed to make the shift. I managed to keep it together.
Yeah.
And other times we don't. And then it's like, darn, like now, like my intensity has been like a lot.
Which then like a crash
has, and then, so it's like, okay, well then unwinding that as well, and like finding grace for oneself, to be like, darn, like something overwhelmed me and I didn't quite get myself together quickly enough, and I went a little bit too far in one direction, and maybe scared a little someone, or startled them, or whatever. And now we have to all teach each other, like, and I have to teach myself and bring my body back into feeling safe, so that they can be safe. And I think that's an important thing and going with the flow kind of lends itself to that as well, because I feel like as the parent, whether we've felt safe in our body before or not, all of a sudden now we have someone who relies on us to regulate their nervous system.
Yes.
And therefore now it's our job to feel safe in our body and in our life and in our flow of day, so that they can feel safe in their body and really express themselves and feel really good about what's happening too. And it's a pretty high pressure job being a mom.
Yeah. Lives are actually depending on it.
Yeah. And it's like, and we get these marvelous opportunities when we mess up, whether it be with syrup or with anything else.
Fill in the blank. Yeah.
To like teach them to learn how to make amends and go with the flow. And that's part of going with the flow too, I think, is not like, I didn't know that I didn't know that my brain was gonna take us here today, but like to not berate ourselves, to like learn how to let that go, which
Yeah.
is, I think, also part of the flow of
Yeah.
being like, man, like I messed up. I didn't do something as well as I would have liked, and I need to make amends.
Yeah.
And we need to teach that we can give each other grace
Mhm.
and forgiveness,
And we can move on.
and we can move on, and to do that for ourselves too. And then we move on and we just, say, now we get to go forward with more cooperation and hopefully less stress. And but we all have like good days and bad days, and days that we feel really like amazing and capable, and then days that are less amazing. And
Well, and I think too, the more
you
that
know
we can practice those moments of giving grace and of making the situation light and of going with the flow, and like the more we can practice being in the regulated place, the easier it is to be in the regulated place.
yeah,
It's
well,
like
and that's
a
just
muscle that
neurology,
exercised. Exactly.
right? Like that's just neurology. Like our brain gets used to
The
what
state.
we do,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if we're constantly stressed, our brain is like, oh my goodness, I need to keep us stressed because this is normal, right? But if we can get into the place where things are more regulated,
Mm-hmm.
it gets easier to stay regulated, because again, your neurology is like, let's maintain this homeostasis of like peaceful and calm and good feeling. And
Totally.
but creating that shift can definitely be challenging. And I think also for people who um, came into motherhood in a very stressful way, or in a traumatic way, or
Or had a traumatic or stressful upbringing and didn't have a template
yeah,
for what easier can look like or what easy
yeah,
can look like.
yeah.
Calm,
I think that can make it additionally
challenge.
challenging,
Mm-hmm.
and just more grace is needed. It's like
You're not a bad person.
you're not a bad person. You're not doing a bad job.
No.
You're simply learning a new way of doing things, because it all of a sudden matters more than it ever has before.
Yeah.
Like, to be the shift, it all of a sudden matters because this little person depends on you.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of what you want to give them in life depends on what you do for them and what you can do for yourself. And so it can be a challenge, but I think a positive challenge,
I would agree.
to kind of embrace that. And there's flow with that too. I guess there's flow in all parts of life. And
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
it's resistance is occasionally futile.
To quote Pocahontas, the water's always changing, always flowing. Just around the river bend.
And the blue corn moon.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, I had that song in my head earlier today. I love that song.
It's a great song. I play it
Yeah.
often, actually.
Yeah.
This is not where I thought we were going with our conversation today. And I really like it. I like that we had a plan. And our plan was to talk about adaptability, and then we totally adapted our whole talk. If that's not fitting, I feel like it's equally fitting that like we had a plan last weekend to have an interview one day and then to have our own recording the next day, and then like all of that has been adapted, and now we're like,
Everything has
schedule,
shifted.
and I was under the weather, and that is, I feel like that is the epitome of not just motherhood but life. Like it's, if you can really truly embrace it at its core, I think you get the most out of it when you're willing to go with it. To
Yeah.
be with the current instead of, paddling against the current.
Yeah. It's like maybe steer your boat, but don't go upstream.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's it's simpler. I read about it. So I have these universal law cards
Oh.
that I don't know, I got them years ago and I found them. And I pulled them out, and me and my daughter have been playing with them on the floor. And one of them that pulled out recently is, I don't know what the law was, but it's like matter travels in the direction of least resistance. is one of the universal laws. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't know exactly where and how that all fits, but it's interesting.
I'm gonna have to get you to send me a picture of the box because I might need these cards in my life.
Yes, I can send that to you. Well, I can tell you where I got them.
Cool.
But yeah, this was fun.
It was. It's great to
And
be back.
we embraced the impulsivity because it was probably one of our least prepared episodes
Yeah. I agree.
that you and I have done together, and I thought it went beautifully.
I was gonna say, and it felt good. I feel like the first one we did that was like go with the flow. We had to redo. It was not good. But this felt great. It felt good to talk to you again and to be here with everyone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Well, on that wonderful note, thank you everyone for listening. And go ahead and leave us a review or let us know that you are loving things. Or if you have a topic in mind, you can always let us know that too. And otherwise, we will see you all soon. And I'm really excited to see where the flow of things takes us this season because it's been kind of an interesting, like waiting on the right topics and the right people and scheduling and all of that. I'm like, it's been an interesting, has a bit of a different feel to this season. So I'm excited to see where this all takes us.
see where we go.
And so, yes. Well, thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If you are loving this podcast, please go ahead and subscribe and leave us a review. Both of these really help the show. As you go out into the world this week, know that we are sending you so much love and wishing you a wonderful and beautiful day, and we will see you back here soon.